call this a $1,500 insane 1440p 240Hz gaming PC because you're going to get insane levels of performance. Welcome back to PC Builder. I'm Jason. Boost My Build is back, the series where we take your PC build list, we tear them up, we put them back together and massively increase your performance. And we've got two amazing builds for this episode. We've got an $850 gaming PC that just stuck in budget gaming land and can't get to 1440p. And we've got a $1,500 amazing gaming PC build, but they want to get the most out of their 1440p OLED gaming monitor and they're just not getting there. Remember, if you get value out of this video, give it a like because it makes a huge difference to the channel, and of course subscribe for more cool PC content. With that, let's jump into it. This video is sponsored by VIP SSD Key. Say goodbye to crazy expensive Windows licenses and that terrible Activate Windows watermark. Right now, use the links in the video description, head over to VIP SSD Key and get a Windows 10 or 11 OEM license for a great price. Pick your product license, then use the PC Builder discount code PC25 for an additional 25% off. Go to the activation settings on your PC, put in the code, and boom! Windows is fully licensed for a crazy low price. And Windows 10 can be upgraded for free to Windows 11. And they have Microsoft Office licenses too. Use the links in the video description. We got Stoned Sparky. I am not even touching that name with a 10-foot pole. No way there. Stone says, building this, want to play StarCraft 2, easy to run game, ready or not, Hell Let Loose, and then newest Call of Duty. Their budget is $850. Their list is $750 though. Where are they going to spend the extra $100 to improve their performance? Thanks, Jason. I wasn't really familiar with all these games, so just Hell Let Loose looks like it's a first-person shooter based on kind of a World War II style theme to it. And then of course we've got Ready or Not, similar kind of tactical shooter. And of course you want to play Modern Warfare 3, which is the latest Call of Duty right now. So it seems like you're into those competitive first-person shooters, probably going to be a little bit heavier on the CPU utilization, but we still want a good GPU. So let's see what you got. All right, we got some problems in this build. We have some problems. What am I talking about? Let's start off with your budget. First of all, you did say that you haven't spent your full budget. You are at $746.91. So we do have another $100, which is good because we definitely need to make a serious investment in several areas of this PC. There's some components here that I'm a little afraid of. Let's start off with the GPU. You went with the RX 6750 XT for $309. Now, what's the problem with this GPU right now? It was $269 over Amazon Prime Day, just like not even a month ago, and now it's all the way back up to $320. Or $310, $320. What's going on? They are virtually sold through the entire stock that I can find. Now, it's possible there will be another shipment or something else will happen, but it does look like the 6750 XT and 6700 XT are kind of coming to the end of their retail life in the US. That's why we've seen the prices go up and maybe not the best value right now. You went with the Ryzen 5500. I don't absolutely hate it, but I do hate it for this budget level. $850. This CPU is ultra budget. We should have left this behind more like the $600, $650 price range, because it's only got PCIe Gen 3 on it. That's a problem because NVIDIA and AMD both are cheaping out on their lower end and even mid-range graphics cards. And instead of using the entire GPU connector that's by 16, they're only using by 8. And they're relying on you to have at least PCIe Gen 4 in order to make up the difference. For instance, a GPU like the 7600 XT, with this CPU, you would lose about 10% of your performance just to that PCIe Gen difference. So I want to go with like at least a 5600, 5600X, maybe even higher end. For the motherboard, I don't hate the Gigabyte B550 UDAC. This is basically like Gigabyte was left over with a bunch of GPU mining motherboards. Look at all these by 16 slots on this thing. And basically this is what this is. It was a GPU mining motherboard. They didn't know what to do with them all, so they threw them together and they called it the Gigabyte UDAC basically, and they're selling it into the DIY PC market. And I don't have any problem with that. I think that's absolutely fine, but we don't need all this connectivity. Micro ATX motherboards tend to be a little bit cheaper. They tend to have similar good features on them. And at the same time, you can buy slightly cheaper micro ATX cases. I will say this does have Wi-Fi in it. If you do need Wi-Fi, we can find you a board with that too. For the RAM, you went with a 2x8 gigabyte kit, silicon powered. I used to recommend this kit all the time. However, TechSpot, aka Hardware Unboxed, recently did a lot of testing around some new AAA titles with 16 versus 32 gigs of RAM, and they found that in this, it's a select group of titles. It's not like it's all titles out there, but there is micro stuttering. And I'm concerned, of course, that going forward, we're going to see increasing amount of AAA titles come out where you will get slight micro stutters if you're only on 16 gigs of RAM. So I would recommend we jump up to 32 gigs here. You went with the TP Group MB33, 2 terabyte, $97. Like at this storage level, absolutely great. However, I would say maybe with what we're doing right now, 1 terabyte you could start with now, and we could look at getting an additional drive down the road when you have some additional money. That way we can pump up things that we can increase later. For instance, the GPU. We can't just add $50 or $60 to the GPU later, where we could add another M.2 drive. The case, I absolutely love the Montech XR case. We recently did, unfortunately, our 9600X build in the Montech XR. We had a phenomenal time in this case. I absolutely love it. $64 is insane. And this case is very premium. I have no idea how Montech is doing this and making even any money on these things. That being said, we could go with a slightly cheaper micro ATX HM style case instead. This PSU is absolutely a no-go. No. Thermaltake Smart 700 watts. This is should call it Thermaltake Dumb, basically. 700 watt unit. Terrible unit. It's been tested repeatedly. The protections on it fail. I think it's F tier on the PSU cultist list. Replace immediately, basically. Let's get you a better PSU. You also don't need 700 watts for this build. You don't need anywhere. I think 650 would probably be more appropriate. That being said, it's no problem going over the recommended wattage. There is a problem with getting this unit that has terrible build quality. So for $746, again, I know we have another $100 to spend. I just think we can get a lot more performance out there. I think we can pump that GPU up, pump that CPU up, and get you playing the games that you want to play at the frame rates that you deserve. Well, this is the $850 insane 1440p gaming PC, because not only are you going to get the frame rates that you're looking for, we're going to pump up that CPU horsepower a little bit too, and I think this thing's going to look absolutely amazing, and it's also going to give you a future upgrade path. Now, I finished out, I'm a little annoyed here. I'm finished at $850.40. What happened? I hit refresh 2 seconds ago. One of these prices changed because I was at $848, so I'm 40 cents over. Find it on the street, borrow it from a friend. You're gonna need it because this is an amazing gaming PC and you just have to do it. Let's start off where else the GPU. I'm gonna give you two different options here. The easy kind of layup option to me is the Power Color Fighter Radeon RX 7700 XT 12 gigabyte for $389. It's still a great value. It's not as good as it was during Amazon Prime Day. That being said, I don't think this model got down to $369 like the Acer Nitro did. This is a phenomenal model. It's got a good heat sink on it. It's that 3-fan model, the Power Color Fighter. I still think hugely worth it at about $389. And that's about the cheapest out there right now for the 7700 XT. You know, probably after we get into September a little bit here, those prices will start to kind of filter back down. But right now, even so, it's still a good value. The other one you can certainly pick up, and I would probably do this if I were you, but this is kind of a unicorn out there in the US only right now, and I want to make these videos as relevant to everybody out there. You can still find one model of RX 6800 out there. Now, this is the Swift 319. You also have to make sure that it actually fits in the case that I've selected for this. If it doesn't, maybe you switch back to the case you originally had. But for $359 with 16 gigs of VRAM, this is a phenomenal performer, but it is a unicorn. It's pretty much US only, and it's just this one model. Just taking a quick look at the TechSpot Radeon RX 7600 XT review. So relatively recent data, or as recent kind of as it gets right now with GPU reviews. You can see you were looking at the 6700 XT, which on this chart, this is 12 game average, 1440p. These are ultra settings. These tend to be more single player, harder to run titles, again, at ultra settings. Now, 6700 XT comes in at 76 average FPS. The 6750 XT is about 6% faster than that. So you get closer to 80 average FPS, about the 4060 Ti kind of 16 gigabyte level out there. But look at the 6800 and the 7700 XT. They just basically kind of smoke everything out there. They're approaching RTX 4070 levels of performance for a fraction of the price. These are just absolutely insane values. For the rest of the build, I went with a Ryzen 5600 for the CPU. Now, let me talk to you about the Ryzen 7600. I tried like holy heck to get you into AM5. AM5 on the AM5 platform. You can do it if you sacrifice basically the GPU upgrade here and then add in some extra money. You'll end up like $930, $950 basically with that 6750 XT and a Ryzen 7600 with decent RAM and a decent motherboard out there. I just didn't like that compromise, so I'm gonna go with the Ryzen 5600 right now, $116. Oh my goodness. Great CPU for gaming, by the way, especially with the 7700 XT. And in the future, we are going to upgrade to the 5700 X3D. I love the drop-in upgrade. I don't like the i5-12400F right now because what's your future upgrade path? 13600K? 14600K? So those have degradation issues. I can't recommend them right now as I'm doing this. And that's why we're going with the 5600. I will say if you could afford to spend like another $100 or so, we would be in AM5 land. For the cooler, I went with the id Cooling SE214XT ARGB cooler. Absolutely love this one. We use it all the time. $18. Other good quality coolers out there. Obviously, Thermal Take makes like 16 bazillion different models of these budget tower 4 heat pipe coolers. Most of them are really, really good. And then we got like Cooler Master and some others out there as well. Just grab whichever one you need. Now you could go with an included stock cooler on the Ryzen 5600, but that being said, I want to turn on Precision Boost Overdrive because it will give us a little bit more performance. For the motherboard, I went with the ASRock B550M Pro 4. I love this motherboard, $99. It's a great board. It's got a great VRM on it, great VRM heatsink when we upgraded that 5700 X3. Not that that CPU takes a ton more power. And it's got a lot of other really, really good features, including it's got a reinforced GPU slot. Now, some of the budget B550s just don't have this, and in those heavier cards like the 7700 XT, GPUs have gotten so big out there, I feel a little kind of unnerved every time I use like the Gigabyte B550 MDS3H. Now, without that reinforced GPU slot, and the thing kind of wobbles a little bit. So I absolutely love this motherboard, and it's a great board to build on. For the RAM, I wanted to get us something RGB. I just couldn't make it there. So we went with the Silicon Power 2x16 gigabyte DDR4 3200 CL16 for $47. I will say $13 more, you will get RGB. Consider spending the extra money because once you see that PC case, I think it's going to look amazing. That being said, this is still a great value, and we're not going to get micro stuttering in those new AAA titles. It's going to allow us to play whatever we want without any kind of compromise. For the drive, I went and cut your storage in half. In half, the reason is we can always, for $50 or $60, add another additional 1 terabyte of storage in the future, but you can't add $50 or $60 to your GPU to make it faster. You can't add $50 or $60 to your CPU to make it faster. So it just makes sense to kind of modularize our future upgrade path. And 1 terabyte should be absolutely fine to get you started playing a lot of games on that thing. Right now for $51, we got the T-Force G50. Kind of the next generation of T-Force drives out there, DRAM-less Gen 4 drive, really good value right now. For the case, I absolutely love the Aqua 3 Micro ATX case. We went into some detail on this in our best PC case 2024 video, so I'll leave that linked in the video description. You can check it out. Right now for $55 after you apply that 5% coupon. Really phenomenal case. I will say it does not fit. I checked the RX 6800 16 gigabyte, the XFX one, because that thing is super long. It's like 10 mils too long basically to fit in this case. That being said, it does fit the Power Color 7700 XT Power Color Fighter in here, and it looks phenomenal. It's a negative pressure case, and it uses this mesh at the bottom to intercept all the dust. Super innovative. I love that Okonos is getting into PC cases after basically just making PSU cable extensions for years, and this is a great value at just about $55. For the PSU, the MSI Mag A650BN needs no introduction. If you watch our channel, 650 watts is really all you need with this build. This is a C-tier rated PSU on the PSU Cultist list. It's not going to blow your rig up, and it costs $66. Only about, what, $15 or $12 more than the crappy Thermal Take dumb unit that you were looking at. $67, just super tough to beat. So overall, we got you a power supply that won't blow up your rig. We massively increased your GPU power. We upped that CPU and maintained your CPU upgrade path out there. We got you 32 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs instead of 16 gigs, and we kind of right-sized everything else to the build while keeping it looking amazing with that Okonos Aqua 3 case, all for $850. So I hope you feel like your build is boosted. We've got Alvaro. Alvaro says, hi, Jason. Here's a 7600X and RTX 4070 Super build. Oh, spoiler alert, right? They want to do gaming and some light work use. They play Modern Warfare 3. They play Helldivers 2. I love that game. I think I'm like 500-ish hours into that game. Oh, no. Occasional single player games on high settings and preferably 165 FPS or greater. They're going to be upgrading to the basically the ultra wide 1440p Alienware 165 hertz OLED gaming monitor. Wow, that's amazing gaming monitor, by the way. They want to take full advantage of it. $1,500 for the PC budget. They're currently on an i9 9900K with a 3070 Ti, 8GB, regular 1440p. Is it even worth upgrading? I think it is going to be. Let's see what you got. Okay. This is okay. It's an okay build. I think you get okay gaming performance out of it, but hear me out. You finished that at $1,445.01, and I just think that we're leaving performance on the table that you're going to want with that cool ultra-wide 1440p OLED gaming monitor out there. I think we can get it pretty easily without breaking your budget, basically. Let's start off with the GPU. So you went with the MSI Ventus 2X OC. That just means it has two fans. RTX 4070 Super 12GB. My problem with the 4070 Super is not the level of speed, it's the level of VRAM. It's an artificial bottleneck. I think in the future, you're going to feel just as bad about the 12 gigabytes of VRAM on this card as you feel right now on the 8 gigabytes of that 3070 Ti that you bought whenever, and you probably paid quite a pretty penny for the 3070 Ti over the 3070, which didn't have any performance advantages, right? And still only had 8 gigs of VRAM. If you bought an RX 6800 XT for about the same price, you probably wouldn't even be thinking about upgrading right now. That's the truth. That is the truth. I just think let's invest in the future and let's just get a faster graphics card while we're at it. For the CPU, Ryzen 7600, 2 thumbs up. Insane value. I think this is the value king. Heavily overlooked just because I know the 7800 X3D exists and it's the fastest gaming CPU on the planet. However, I feel like so many people go to that CPU so quickly and shortchange their GPU, and I don't want to do that here. I think this is a great value, especially now the 7800 X3D is like sold out everywhere because Ryzen 9000 turned out to be a bust, so everyone's buying the 7800 X3D, and right now it's like $420 for Ryzen 7800 X3D. Yikes. That makes this an insane value. Arctic Liquid Freezer 3, I get where we're going with this. I just feel like for $110, and it seems like you watched our 9950X build guide where we use this and we use like the Lian Cool 216, which you also, spoiler alert, used in this one. Great combo, and for that level of performance, especially you're talking like super high-end production build, yes, this would be a great cooler for that. Don't need it with the 7600X. I feel like we're wasting money that should be going to our GPU here. Instead, we can take a look at either air coolers or some great value, cheaper AIOs. For the motherboard, the MSI Mag B650 Tomahawk Wi-Fi. I love this board at $180, but it's gone up to $200 since I recommended it. If you were able to get the deal, good on you. I do like the board overall. If this is the one you decide to go with, 2 thumbs up for you. I do think that there are some other boards we might take a look at if we want to squeeze in a bigger GPU. For the RAM, this is a great kit. I've recommended it to death. DDR5 6000 CL30. This is the T-Force Delta kit. Comes in white, comes in black. It's amazing. $97. Insane. This is got all the way up to like $115, but now has been steadily filtering down. Consistently the cheapest high quality DDR5 6000 CL30 kit out there, cheaper than everybody else, and I've used a ton of these. I did have one bad stick one time, but I returned it to Amazon. Boom, got a new one within a day. No problem. Works right out of the box. I absolutely love these kits. The drive, 1 terabyte, kind of random Kingston NV2, perfectly acceptable for $57. Lian Cool 216, insane case. If it was more expensive, I might say, do we really need this case for our build? It's a great case though. $85, really hard to argue with the price point. There are some cheaper cases now that look amazing and you can get some really amazing deals. That being said, the Lian Cool 216, especially if you're working with an AIO, the top comes off, makes building an absolute breeze. The only thing I'll say about this is this rear fan here is not RGB, so you may want to replace it if you're looking for that kind of cool. Well, obviously we're looking for an awesome white and black aesthetic with it, so you might consider that for about another $20 or $30. Power supply, MSI Mag 850 GL PCI Gen 5. It's a great PSU, a little expensive right now at $109. There's like a couple of these that I'd recommend. For some reason, this one's a little bit more than the others. Maybe the others are a little cheaper than they normally are. I would say 850 is not necessary for this build. Could do 750. That being said, I think we're gonna jump up the GPU. We'll probably end up needing this power supply, so we might just go ahead and keep it. All told, for $1,445, I think you did a pretty good job if you built this. I don't think you'd have any regrets now. You wouldn't have any regrets now. I just think we can position ourselves better for the future, and I think we can get, frankly, a lot more performance out of our GPU. I call this a $1,500 insane 1440p 240 hertz gaming PC, because you're going to get insane levels of performance. And yes, I know you have a 165 hertz monitor. I'm just saying it's going to be super amazing in terms of overall performance, especially because I know you're going to probably want to turn on HDR on that amazing gaming monitor. You're going to want to pump those frames. This PC is going to allow you to do that. I finished out at $1,468.81, and honestly, I could probably have similar performance for about $1,399 on this one. I know that sounds crazy, so I want to give you some options in case you do decide to save some money, because I can't really find anywhere to increase the performance, but I do have a couple options for you. Let's start with the GPU. That's one area I have some options for you. So I decided to go with the RX 7900 XT, $689 right now with the $15 promo code, takes us down to $675. This is a great card, by the way. Sapphire Pulse is one of the better ones. 2 thumbs up there. I will say we now have rumors about RX 8000 series GPUs coming out in October that supposedly are going to bring between this and the 7900 XTX level of GPU performance for about $500-ish out there, possibly launching in October or November. All this possibly stuff. If you decide to wait for it, you certainly could. You might save yourself a little bit of money. It might also use a little bit less power. But honestly, if you decide, forget it, Jason, I want to move forward, I want something right now, I don't think you'd go wrong with this GPU at all. In terms of overall performance, let's compare it to the 4070 Super that you were going to get. 108 average FPS. Now, this is the TechSpot RTX 4070 Ti Super review data that came out. 12 games, ultra settings, and these tend to be harder to run single player titles. So typically in those competitive shooters, you're going to get way more frames. 4070 Super, no slouch, 108 average FPS, but only 12 gigs of VRAM. The 7900 XT, 127 average FPS, is 20% higher, and it has 20 gigs of VRAM. You are never running out of VRAM on that thing. I will say, if we wanted to do some additional cuts like the motherboard and stuff, you could also squeeze in a 4070 Ti Super in there. Not as performative as the 7900 XT, but if you absolutely have to have NVIDIA, another option to look at. For the rest of the build, I stuck it out with the Ryzen 7600X. Honestly, it's kind of a situation right now where Intel is crazy not recommendable. At least the LGA 1700 stuff. We're waiting on Arrow Lake to see where that goes, so maybe that you consider waiting for that. That being said, the 7600X remains insane value. You can also get the 7600 if you want to save 10 bucks. Basically the same CPU. 2 thumbs up on this thing. The cooler, I went ahead and just downgraded us to a cooler that we used in our 9600X build guide, the Thermalright Aqua Elite 360 V3. This thing looked amazing, by the way. Performed amazing. I really ramped up the pump speed on this too. Dead silent. I don't know how they do that, because there are more expensive AIO coolers out there. When you ramp the pump speed up to 100%, got to crank it down a little bit because you can hear the hum of it. Fan's not the quietest out there. That being said, just set a cap of 80%. It's a 360 millimeter AIO. You will never need to crank the fans to 100% to cool a Ryzen 7600 on it, and it's going to leave you in great shape when you do upgrade to whatever the next Ryzen X3D CPU is. For the motherboard, I did stick it out with the MSI Mag B650 Tomahawk Wi-Fi for $199. I do want to say you can also get the MSI Gaming Wi-Fi, which is a slightly cut down version of this motherboard, slightly cut down audio on it, and it doesn't include 3 M.2 slots on it, just has 2 on it. That being said, you're only going to fill one of them right now. You'll still have one open. It's 50 bucks cheaper at $149 if you do want to go for that RTX 4070 Ti Super instead. For the RAM, we just stuck it out. I don't even need to talk about this RAM. It's amazing. DDR5 6000 CL30 RAM. Team Group does great with these kits. $97. Love to see it under $100. For the drive, I decided to just swap out your drive with something that's slightly cheaper. I went with the T-Force G50. It's kind of a next gen budget NVMe SSD out there, Gen 4, and it's $52 right now over at Newegg. For the case, I like the Lian Lelanco 216. I think this is a little hard. $50 promotional gift card. It's a Newegg gift card, but they send it to you 4 days after you get charged for this thing. So what you could do is just order the case now, wait 4 days, buy the rest of the stuff with the promotional gift card, and that's how you get your extra $15 off basically on it. For the PSU, I just found the MSI MPG A850G. It's great PSU out there, A tier rated, very similar. In fact, I think in terms of fan noise on it, slightly better than the A-GL unit, on for $99 over at Newegg. So all told, for $1,468, we're gonna get way more FPS, 20% more FPS. We will never have to worry about VRAM in the usable lifetime of this GPU. We're gonna get an amazing platform that not only is it gonna give performance right now, it's gonna be easily upgraded to 9800 X3D, Zen 6 X3D CPUs in a couple of years' time. I think it's gonna set you up now and into the future. So I hope you feel like your build is boosted. If you got value out of this video, give it a like. It makes a huge difference to the channel, especially this guy right here. And of course, subscribe, click that bell icon. That way you get notified when we release cool content. Speaking of cool content, did you check out our best PC case 2024 guide? Right here, check it out. Cases have come way down and there's some amazing new models on the market. And of course, check out our best RAM for gaming right here in 2024. How much RAM do you really need? We walk you through it right here. Check them out and we'll catch you on the next one.